The Seven Stages of Grieving. The Seven Stages of Grieving is a play about the representation of the long-term effects on those deceased around you, and those whom are being affected through a lengthy, pain-inducing suffering within the stolen generation. This is expressed through visual and verbal metaphors to portray the after effect of the stolen generation. The provided information within the play is more than enough to convey a deep meaning that lets the reader or audience sympathize with those that have lost their lives over the influence of racism. Within the prologue, an example of the long-term effect of the stolen generation and morbid struggles can be portrayed through the metaphor about the ice is suspended in the air by 7 strong ropes. This is to represent the time ticking down, and one by one a stage of grieving goes by as the ice melts. The key is the 7 strong ropes, which means the 7 stages of grieving. The ice is melting, dripping, onto the freshly turned grave, with red dirt under the tombstone. This means that someone has only recently died, and the grieving has only just begun. Powder! The black powder mentioned in the prologue, is a representation of darkness outside of the white area. This refers to the world around anything inside the circle is surrounded by darkness. For once you leave the white area, you will be overbalanced with grief and you will succumb to it. Anyone tell me, what does this mean? These all tie in with one another as a huge metaphor about the many stages of grieving that the play interpreted the Aboriginals to have gone through. These can be shown through the ice and the 7 strong ropes. The ice suspended above the stage represents a person's sanity as it slowly melts away. This can be interpreted as the strong ropes gradually letting go of the ice to show each stage taking place. As this happens, there's a projector flashing words that the woman feels until there is nothing. Round 2, let's go. Ching ching. Another key point that gives context to the play on racism is within Murray Gets a Dress. Stored inside of this reference has a full understanding of what white people and black people point of views were back when racism was still a major issue. The chapter tries to explain these issues through references of guns, eyes, and emotion in order to convey the impact. Oh yeah? Where's the evidence? The evidence to support this statement is conveyed inside the pages of the chapter Murray Gets a Dress, for it is overly hinted towards the fact of the obvious signs and quotes of her stereotypical reputation. For example, because she's black, she ends up getting a lot of demeaning attention, as well as when someone did budgie, which is a fart, everyone assumed that it was Murray. Of course, she takes this as an offense, because she's most likely the only black person there, since that's what the author of the play is intending for the audience or reader to pick up on. Thus, Shakespearean? Anyone? Where'd everyone go? Huh? Wait, don't cut me off! It's time for the evidence to refer back to the main question. What is shown as the effects of racism within the play, The 7 Stages of Grieving? The metaphors, signs, and perspectives all have an important role that helps answer this question. These were the melting of the ice to represent the slow descent into true grieving, the 7 strong ropes to represent the 7 stages of grieving, The black and the white powdered circles are the representation of how everything is safer inside where the white rings are than to force yourself to leave into the dark zone, symbolizing it takes time to move on, because when those stages of grieving are not complete and you force yourself, it may become your own demise. Finally, within Murray gets addressed the evidence that has been collected and explained thoroughly about how she is given demeaning attention, as well as how people assume that the only black person, Murray, was the one that did Budgie, because of the assumption of that the black one is always at fault. This can be interpreted as two obvious perspectives of the two rivals, continuously pointing the finger at one another in the past due to skin color as a form of racial discrimination, thus proving that the evidence that has been put together about the play, The 7 Stages of Grieving, in terms of racism and inhuman rights, just because of skin color, is a play that has a lot more of a deeper meaning behind once looked at from another perspective.